Speaking of stinking to high heavens and perpetrating a lie, I think that leads us perfectly into what we're going to lead off with the podcast this week.
Okay.
You've said this a few times this offseason that you believe the Detroit Lions will be making the playoffs in 2022. And you said this again last week. So I wanted to give you the floor, a proper setting to defend yourself here, defend your claim that the Detroit Lions will be making the playoffs in 2022. So we're going to hold a little court here. This is called Lions Court.
Okay. I'm in.
Lions Court is in session. Morten, you're going to have the floor first. Plaintiff Morten, you will present your opening argument. Defendant Stephanie, who last week was like, unbelievable. She couldn't believe it. You thought the Lions were going to make the playoffs because why would anyone believe that? Defendant Stephanie is going to give her rebuttal. We'll open the floor for some deliberations and then closing arguments will commence. So does everything sound good? And any questions?
No, I mean, as long as there's no time limit, I will make my case. I will try to do it within 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay.
No more. And then the floor will be Stephanie's, and then you can rule as we counterpoint, right? Is that where we're at with this?
So at the end of the podcast, I will give my ruling. I need time to make a
deliberation time.
Yeah, I mean, the jury's going to have to meet and decide.
There will be time to Venmo you money.
That's right. We can talk about some odds that are out there on the Lions for next season. But let's get into your opening statement here. Morten Anderson, the floor is yours.
The Detroit Lions enter the second season of the Dan Campbell era with plus 15,000 odds to win the Super Bowl, according to the experts. It was touch and go for a while, but Detroit was able to avoid a win this season in 21. In fact, they closed the season out relatively strong. Record of 3-3 over the final 6 weeks of the year to end with a record of 3-13-1. I know, that doesn't sound like stellar performance. But on top of that, they played in 4 losses. They ended up being 1-score games, one a 66-yard against Baltimore. We remember that, where Justin Tucker hits the crossbar and it doinks in, it doesn't doink out. So a lot of 1-score games. Despite the bad record, they showed a lot more fight than many people anticipated. I know that no one actually expects the Lions to go deep in the playoffs, but this is year 2 for Campbell. He has instilled a beautiful culture. This team is young, and there's some promising young players like Amon-Ra St. Brown, TJ Hawkinson, DeAndre Swift, and Khalif Raymond. So they will also play a last place schedule next season by virtue of the way that they finished last year. So that means tangling with the last place teams in NFC divisions. Beyond that, the team plays the AFC and NFC East divisions on the schedule for 22. This would mean that the Lions would play the likes of Dallas, Washington, Philadelphia, and the Giants while tangling with Miami, the Jets, New England, and Buffalo in their AFC crossovers. Lots will depend on the kind of fixes that the team can make in the offseason and in the draft to the roster, but the Lions will have a chance of going worst to first if they can get things organized in time. In Dan Campbell, the team has a coach that the team can rally behind for the future that is laying a great groundwork. He clearly has changed the culture in Detroit, and his young players are buying in. They got to shore up their offensive defensive lines through the draft and continue to develop the young roster, and you have a recipe for success. The players are hungry. They tasted success late in the season. They should carry over to 2022. Also, as a last caveat, Detroit Lions are on Hard Knocks season 2022. The last 3 teams who were on Hard Knocks 2020 Los Angeles Rams, they were 10-6. They made the playoffs. 2021 Dallas Cowboys, 12-5, made the playoffs. 2021 Indianapolis Colts, in-season series, not a preseason, 9-8, 11-5, made the playoffs. I rest my case. The Lions will be playing in January of 2023.
I think it's too hard to turn a team around in a year. I think that a lot of people believe in Dan Campbell. He's got that grit. He was talking about the team being on Hard Knocks. He's going to eat the kneecaps and they're just going to be hard on guys. If you saw that press conference,
Yes.
I mean, I like his energy. I think that he is good for the team, but there's a reason Stafford didn't win games in Detroit. There's a reason why they weren't successful. You can't just insert a quarterback and then build, or you have to build around the quarterback. You can't just rely on your guy. I think Jared Goff is capable, but there's so many issues all the way around. I was looking at the PFF gradings. They are below 20th in almost all of them, except for pass blocking, they're 19th, and then special teams 18th. They just don't have the grades. They don't have the talent. A lot of guys, there's injuries. Okuda was a 3rd overall pick. Great cornerback, covered him in college. Hopefully he gets healthy. Hopefully the team gets better and healthy, but I think it's just going to be too hard to turn a team around that quickly, although they are playing in the NFC. I don't think that they can turn it around that quickly. Their win total is projected at 6 right now. That does seem about right because the way that they finished a lot of those games, it came close, but they're not a clutch team. They weren't able to finish them out. They only ended up with 3 wins. I think that they could double that. I do think 6 wins sounds just about right, but to get to the playoffs, I don't think it's going to happen. I think that they've been rebuilding since like 58 it was. So it's just going to be too much to cover in that time. I think that things can turn around with Dan Campbell, but to do it this quickly, to get to playoffs this year, it's not going to happen.
NFC North has gotten weaker. Every single team the Detroit Lions play in the division have gotten worse. Vikings are worse. Green Bay is worse. They lost Devontae Adams, their big playmaker. And Chicago with Trubisky. No, not Trubisky. Whoever. Not
Justin
Trubisky.
Fields.
Justin Fields. Yeah, sorry. I couldn't say that Ohio State name. They've gotten worse. So Detroit will be better and will close the gap on those teams. And so, therefore, I stand by my earlier statement that I think that I'm not saying they're going to be a high seed. I think they get in as the last seed and they play a wild card game on the road.
Are we doing closing arguments right now?
I was going to open the floor for some official deliberations, but it feels like we've already gotten into the deliberation portion of this court proceedings. I can open the floor now to closing arguments if they are prepared by said teams. Defendant Stephanie Odie, the floor is yours.
Like I said, their stats, their PFF grades, as I was looking, they're at the bottom of the league in nearly every category. You got draft picks this year, but the draft class is not great. You don't have a ton of options to get that guy. And the year that they loaded up on them wasn't the best year. Will they make some trades? I would hope to see that for the sake of Detroit. But you have way too much work to do. You have way too many moves to make. And free agency, I don't think that they made any power moves, nothing that really stands out enough to turn a team around from winning only 3 games. It's not going to happen. There's too much that needs to be done. We could have this conversation in 3-5 years, maybe, and it's definitely a thing. But I don't think this year to go to the playoffs, it's going to happen.
Culture. One word, culture. And it's not yogurt.
God.
Culture. Dan Campbell and his culture will permeate through that building, and everybody will feed upon the wisdom, the passion, the energy that he brings. Now, I realize he doesn't play it down, but he will be able to rally his soldiers, his lions, to rise to the occasions. And instead of losing 4 games by a single score, they're going to flip the script and win those games this year because they're 1 year wiser and older. They will add enough pieces to the puzzle. They have to get help on the offensive line so Goff can throw the ball. Very hard to throw the ball laying down on your back. So I think they get that done. And I think they win the close ones that they lost last year. And they'll be the last seed in. And we'll see the Detroit Lions in the playoffs.
All right, thank you to both parties involved here. I will give my summary judgment at the end of the podcast. Strong A lot of strong cases being made on both sides. I've taken my notes. I need some time to think. I need to talk to the clerks. I need to talk
Check
to the
your
jury.
Venmo. Check Venmo.
So we will have a determination later on, so stick around for that. It's time for the court to make its decision. A summary judgment is ready for the case of Morten Andersen and the Lions versus public opinion. The court has ruled in this case, based on the information given by both parties and just that information alone, the Lions will be in the playoffs in 2022. And here is our reasoning.
What?
Morten brought up a key point in this matter, which is the scheduling. A last place schedule mixed with the NFC East, mixed with a game against the Jets, mixed with 2 games against the Bears, and 2 games against the Vikings.
You got Jacksonville.
That's a lot of games against teams that are really bad, with a team in Detroit that ended the season on a high with a lot of draft picks. Yes, a weak draft, but assets nonetheless that can be moved for better picks. Penei Sewell only going to get better on the offensive line. Lions were already strong as it goes. You know, if you're ranking position groups on the Lions, that was already one of their stronger groups. They're going to get even stronger heading into next season. Goff, another year in the system, has made it to a Super Bowl. Yes, with McVay whispering in his ear, but you get everything one more year stronger, playing a lot of weak teams. Dan Campbell gets another year with the boys. The Detroit Lions.
This year, though, you're saying?
With an extra playoff team in the mix, you get that 7th team, gives those teams an extra chance. The Detroit Lions, with the hard knock bump, making the playoffs in 2022.
I do not believe this.
You cannot interrupt the judge. That is contempt of court.
Let me see the Venmo.
Court is adjourned.
Yes.
There's no way you believe that. There's no way.
I'm going to go out. I'm going out on
They've done nothing in the offseason. Like, I know they're not up against great teams, but at least those teams have been made some.
Your arguments you had your chance in court. You made your statement, and the court has ruled.
I will say,
has ruled.
I will make my Venmo account public soon so people can see there was no collusion here.